All right. So yeah. Uh, so yeah, this is off the shelf. Um, we try to find food with good ingredients, and you want to talk a little bit? This is Danielle. I'm sorry.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi. Yeah, so we got into it. It was actually Chris's idea to try to find like healthy snacks that are good for us, and we didn't really know much in the beginning. We were just like reading labels. So then, as we got into it, we started doing research, obviously, and yeah, so we're becoming more knowledgeable, but we're still not experts.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That's how everybody starts, right? With just being an enthusiast in the beginning. So it's a good place to start.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Your website is beautiful. I'm very interested in your products. I'm definitely going to be ordering some protein powder and MCT oil.
Oh, great. Have you ever tried MCT oil before?
Yeah, we had Bub's Natural. Is that
Yes.
the one we had? Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're aware of what it does and why it's beneficial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Strength Genesis, which is my website, is an offshoot of the fact that for the last 30 years with my business, Dr. Derek Health and Fitness, I've been working with people in the realms of losing weight, dropping body fat, reducing or eliminating medications, and getting into the best shape of their life. So, in the process of doing so, and I should give you a little bit of background, my PhD is in exercise science. My master's degree is in nutrition. I'm a nutritionist. However, I spend all day, every day working as a psychologist, which I have no formal training in whatsoever, because this whole field of health, fitness, and wellness has to do with really where a person's mindset is. And then, secondarily, we get into strategy.
Okay.
So, in practicing for 30 years and seeing how the industry has evolved, like many, I've always thought, wouldn't it be awesome to have a product that only had this ingredient or has these five things combined or was manufactured with this taste but this benefit? And that's essentially what I did over a number of years with Strength Genesis is I kind of took the philosophy as I only make what I want to take personally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I kind of came up with all the ingredients, and that's kind of the backstory of how I got into the supplement field considerably after being in the health and fitness field.
Okay. Don't put anything in your body that your grandmother wouldn't recognize on the label, right?
Yeah, you
That's
know
something
what?
I heard the other day. I was like, oh, that's very
Yeah, for
interesting.
the most part, I agree. For the most part, I do agree. There's some things that Grandma may not be aware of. She didn't know the benefits of MCT oil, as we were
Sure.
just talking about.
Yeah.
Um, but if you took a step back out of the MCT oil, if you talked about coconut oil, I bet your Grandma would have known about that. So, Grandma did have some wisdom.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you were strength and conditioning, did you say?
Yeah, so my PhD is exercise science, and my master's degree is in nutrition.
Oh, okay. Danielle's actually a personal trainer and a fitness class instructor.
Yes. I
Oh,
don't have a
wonderful.
degree in that. I went to school for speech pathology, but then I got certified in personal training down the
Because
road.
it was a passion.
Yes, I
Yeah,
always wanted to help people, but I got into it because I was into fitness myself. So
right.
then I wanted to help others. But that's where I struggle a lot as a trainer. Training people is easy. It's getting them to eat the right foods. They think certain things are good, and it's hard. People don't all have the same understanding that we do.
No doubt about it. That was kind of my joke before of yes, I'm an exercise scientist and a nutritionist, but I spend all day every day as a psychologist
Hmm.
for the reason that you just mentioned, and I couldn't agree more.
I'm actually in IT, so I'm just interested in keeping myself healthy and keeping myself alive as long as possible. Um, I do struggle with like a little bit of weight gain though, and lately actually, I've always thought that like I'm best not eating as much carbs and focusing more on protein. But Danielle doesn't agree with me. But I feel that's where I excel the best and drop weight and feel better actually. So I have to get back into following that path. But
Well,
yeah,
and you also have a tremendous amount of muscle tissue, and with more muscle tissue, you're going to be a little bit more sensitive to handling the carbs, which is great. You're going to utilize more of it for your glycogen. So I think your ability to handle carbs is going to be much greater than a lot of my clients. Um, in the 30 years that I've been in this industry, I started off by working with athletes, which is the only people that really did that type of training 30 plus years ago. Over the years, though, it's changed, and now it's so far away from it. I only handle people above the age of 45. Many people are very unathletic. They've never even dreamed of doing anything athletic. And lastly, most of them have some type of orthopedic issue. It might be shoulders, hips, knees, back, neck, a combination of them. And they're looking for lifestyle types of changes, and they are not going to be able to handle the carbs anywhere near the way you could or the way an athlete would. So you do have to be more conscious of it. So I do agree with what Danielle's saying because that's the clientele I see on a regular basis as well.
okay. I mean, I make it a point to get up very early in the morning, and spend at least an hour and a half to 2 hours in the gym every day. But then I go to work, and I'm oftentimes sitting in front of two large screens and working with people remotely. Try to get up and move around a bit, but some days I'm just stuck in my seat, which sucks. So I definitely, I try when it's warmer out. Obviously, it's winter time, and we're in New York. We try to like go for walks after work, but she's in the gym constantly and pretty hammered by the time she gets home. So I
Well,
just
if you,
yeah.
I was going to, I'm sorry,
No,
I
no.
mean, interrupt. I was going to say, if you're in New York, that makes both of us because I'm also in upstate New York. I'm
Oh,
outside.
Oh, you're
Well,
upstate. Okay, we're on Long Island.
you're in Long Island?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You've got it's a little bit more colder up there. You got snow recently, right? Last night, did you get a decent
We
amount of snow?
we did. So you're aware of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
It's all rain
Um,
down here. You know how
it's all right.
but yeah, the coast and the water pulls in the warmer air.
Right,
So
right. No, we got a decent amount of snow last night, but honestly, it was only about 2 to 4 inches, which if you're from Buffalo, you
that's nothing.
100% do not care about 2 to 4 inches.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll take a step further. You don't care about 12 inches. It does make a difference, one iota. Everybody still wears shorts everywhere. Most people don't wear jackets. It was 15 degrees when I drove in today, and
Oh man.
most people aren't wearing jackets. It's got to be really cold in Buffalo for you to even pay attention to it.
Yeah. Didn't you get like 7 or 10 feet a couple of years ago? Like that lake effect that just kept coming in and
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah, that
it's
was quite a
rough.
bit. Yeah, I get 12 feet of snow. Yeah, once again, people just dig out and they just go about their normal day.
So what's like the fitness feel up in Buffalo? I mean, with the you know
well,
how is that city? Like
oh,
I don't know, the Bills just lost, which sucks. I used to be a huge Bills fan when Jim Kelly was playing, and
Yeah.
it was devastating to see them go to the playoffs 7 times and not make it into the Super Bowl, or not make it into the Super Bowl, lose. So that's rough.
Yeah, they lost four straight Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I remember the journey very well. And you asked me about the how's health and fitness in outside of Buffalo. And
Yeah.
Chris, did you know this that Buffalo is the capital of health and fitness worldwide?
Really?
wow.
No, not at all.
Oh,
Uh, it's not- no, nobody's saying that, by the way.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying we're doing our part to try to make it that, but nobody's actually saying that. I think it's pretty much the same everywhere. Obviously, you have the people that are very enthusiastic about it, and then you have everybody else that we're trying to encourage. We're trying to bring them along, and hopefully they will. We only could influence the people that we work with. I can't say that I'm going to take on the entire country and try to motivate everybody. That would be very wishful thinking. But when you're working with a clientele, Danielle, you know this. Your job, your responsibility is to work with your clientele to the best of your ability. And many times, and I think if I'm reading it correctly, the frustration comes from the fact that oftentimes you want it more than they do.
right.
Yeah.
You know what they're capable of. You know they could do more. You know they could get better results. You see how good it can be, and they're not quite meeting you or matching that effort and enthusiasm. And of course, it can get frustrating. So I do understand that. Once again, in this field for 30 years, I'm very well aware of it, but you do what you can, of course, just to try to pull people one notch higher than maybe they would have been otherwise. And if you could do that, they're going to get better grades.
Right. And with so what got you into the supplementation, like, or the supplements that you believe in? Were they things that you were taking for a while, or?
Yeah, well, with Strength Genesis, it's a really interesting story. In fact, you have a couple seconds, I'll tell you
Yeah,
the entire story. Yeah. So, are you familiar with the book The 4 Hour Body by Tim Ferriss?
I'm
No.
not.
Yeah. So Tim Ferriss is a very well-known author, entrepreneur, businessman, personality, and his whole series of books that he wrote were 4 hours. So the 4 Hour Work Week, the 4 Hour Body, the 4 Hour Chef, all of those things. And he did a deep dive into fitness transformation and what a person would have to do to improve their health and fitness. And this book has been around for about 10 plus years or so, so it's not brand new. In the book, he is talking about this cooking oil that he calls the new olive oil, which I found very interesting. And having both sides of my family, my grandparents on both sides were from Italy. So I used olive oil for everything. In fact, I recommended it to my clients to use all the time, whether they're putting it on salads or to cook with. But I'm reading about him talking about this new olive oil. And when I got a little bit deeper, he was talking about something called Australian macadamia nut oil, which comes from macadamia nuts. And the reason why he called it the new olive oil is for a couple of reasons. Number one, the reason why olive oil is so beneficial is because of the omega-3 fatty acids that are in the olive oil. Those omega-3 fatty acids are very beneficial because they're anti-inflammatory. They make sure that inflammation doesn't run rampant in the body and very heart protective. So that's the reason why so many people have been taking it for centuries. Now, macadamia nut oil is even higher in the omega-3, omega-9 profile than even olive oil, which made it even stronger and more potent, which was fantastic. But the real benefit is the fact of smoke point. See, olive oil has about a 350-degree Fahrenheit smoke point, which can easily be exceeded when somebody cooks. So if you've ever cooked with olive oil, you have to go at very low temperatures. Otherwise, you could, as I mentioned, easily exceed it, and the oil will flash and it will turn to black oil. It'll start smoking.
Yeah.
Black oil or smoked oil loses all of the benefits of the omega-3s in the first place. So all of a sudden, you've just rendered it impotent. And to make matters worse, once you're consuming a black oil, it's potentially carcinogenic as well. So the best part about this macadamia nut oil, it is held up to a very high smoke point. So olive oil, 350 degrees. Australian macadamia nut oil is over 520 degrees. I've personally taken it up to 615 degrees, measuring it with a laser thermometer and videotaping the whole thing, and it didn't break down at all. So it's very versatile. You could cook at high temperatures and even stronger than olive oil. And lastly, it has this rich, nutty, buttery taste, where olive oil by itself can be a little bit bitter and a smidge bland. So it really made things like eggs and vegetables and meats kind of jump. So if you think about when you grew up cooking eggs and mom may have cooked it in butter, but you wanted something healthier, so you recommended olive oil never tasted like butter,
Mm.
where macadamia nut oil does. So I fell in love with this product after he talked about it. I ordered a couple bottles online. I got a couple bottles in, loved it. So I ordered some more bottles and started perking it out and giving it to some of my better clients. And they loved it. So naturally, they would ask me, hey, can you get me some more? So I started buying more and more of this macadamia nut oil and then reselling it. And then soon I was up to ordering like 30 bottles at a time, 50 bottles at a time. I was buying more and more bottles. However, everything was going great except for the fact that it was getting harder and harder to get. So I had a hard time getting my hands on it. And then eventually it was gone completely. I couldn't even buy it anywhere. I searched the web, searched everywhere, nothing. So one day I picked up the phone and I called on the back of the bottle, Queensland, Australia. And I called the processing plant there, the refinery. And I was just trying to look to see if I can get some oil. And I got a guy on the phone and we started talking and he said, "Do you want to be the US distributor?" I said, "No, not really." He said, "Because the one people that we were using are no longer going to carry it. They, couldn't sell enough. It wasn't profitable. So would you like to be the US distributor?" And I said, "No, but I'd like to buy some for myself." And they said, "Okay, well, we could sell you some of this stuff." And they said, "How much would you like to buy?" Now, mind you guys, I've been buying like 30, 40, 50 bottles at a time, but now I'm talking to somebody in Australia and I know shipping is going to be expensive. So I upped my game and I gave them a number that I was a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I said, "Well, I'm willing to buy like 100, maybe up to 150 bottles at a time." Radio silence. Heard nothing on the other end. And I said, "Are you able to handle an order that big?" And he said, "Sir, we only sell by the metric ton."
Damn
I
it.
said, "Metric ton?
Yeah.
What am I going to do with a metric ton?" And he said, "You're going to bottle it yourself. We're not going to handle your bottling. We're going to sell you these big vats of ICBs of oil."
Oh
I said, "Well, what do I do with it then?" He goes, "Well, do you have an importing license?" I said, "Do I have an importing license?" "No, I don't have an importing license." "Oh, you got to get an importing license." He said, "But do you have a freight forwarder that can take this from us in Australia?" I said, "I don't have a freight forwarder." He go, "You got to get a freight forwarder."
my
I said, "Then what happens?" He said, "Well, do you have a bottler?" I said, "I don't have a bottler." He goes, "Well, you need a bottler, but before you get a bottler, do you have a label?" I said, "I don't have a label." He said, "Well, you need a label and it's got to be FDA compliant.
God.
Then you have to go to a bottler. Then you have to have your," and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, I'm in like 19 steps over my head here." Nonetheless, I took a risk. I bought one, and I'm going to say from that point, we probably bring in nowadays 20 to 30 tons of
Oh my
metric tons
God.
of oil a year.
Wow. That's fantastic.
And if you've ever tried it before, not only once again is it extremely versatile and healthy, but the taste is phenomenal. It's soon to be your favorite oil.
What kind of you said the flavor profile is kind of like butter?
You're going to taste it and you're going to say it's got a buttery taste, but it tastes a little nutty. So keep in mind it's macadamia nuts.
Yeah.
It's giving that high fat content of the macadamia nut. It's rich. It's buttery tasting as opposed to olive oil, which is more bitter and more bland. Think about eating an olive. Um, so that was where I jumped into the supplement industry at Strength Genesis. From there, I just kept going and adding things on. I wanted protein powders, but I wanted only oh, I'm sorry, not Australian. I wanted New Zealand grass-fed protein. And people said, "Well, why do you want New Zealand grass-fed protein?" And the reason why is because New Zealand is the only country in the world that's got the highest standards of what they consider grass-fed. So in New Zealand, for it to be considered grass-fed, the cow has to eat 100% of the time a grass-fed diet. 100%. And when I tell people that, they usually say to me, "Well, so what? That's what grass-fed means." Well, you would think so, except for the fact that that's not the standard in all the other countries. See, in North America, the highest standard is Canada, and you only have to be grass-fed 20% of the time.
Wow.
Okay.
In the US, it's 4% of the time. And the other 96% of the feeding time doesn't have to be grass fed at all. You can keep giving it the grain and corn silage, which doesn't lead a good protein source. It depletes the fatty acid profiles too. It leads to more cellular inflammation, and I don't want any part of it. So we wanted the New Zealand grass fed protein, and that's why I started producing that as well. So every single product that we offer has some type of story like that, but it's all
Okay.
designed around getting the best ingredients, better for the body, better for the planet. And that's the other part too, is everything that I package in is going to be a sustainable material. All of the oils are in glass, and all of the metals, including the protein powder. In fact, I have one right here. Might not be able to see it. There you go. The protein powder is in aluminum. So this is a
Wow.
can,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
think
So
about
like plastics, microplastics. Yeah.
Chris, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, right? So the amount of plastics we're putting in our body is alarming.
Uh,
So we're putting everything into an aluminum metal can so that every time you do it, there's no leakage of the microplastics, the BPA, BPS, petroleum byproduct in your bloodstream. So better for your body, better for the planet.
that's fantastic, man.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Awesome. Well, this has been great, man. I really appreciate your time, and maybe we'll do another one.
Well, we're gonna
When we
get your
get,
products now,
yeah,
so
we're
we
gonna
can't wait
definitely
to
get your
try them.
products,
Yeah.
and we'll do another show with them, trying them out
Yeah, well, that when
on the air.
stayed away from protein powder for so long because everything, no matter what they say, everything bothers my stomach. So I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. Not trying it.
And there's that whole thing with like grass fed, grass finished, like from
Yes.
beginning to end. Yeah.
Yes, it's confusing. It's
Yeah.
confusing. And when you think about our clients, when you think about the general population walking into a health food store, they're walking into GNC and there's hundreds of different products and proteins, thousands. And the best you can do is go up to the kid at the counter and say, which one should I take? And you have some college kid telling you
Yeah.
which product you should be putting in your body. It just doesn't make sense. And then to take one more step into it, every one of the products will say, and ours do too, because you need to for FDA compliance, please consult with your physician before taking the supplement. Okay, sounds good in a legal sense, but bring any supplement to your physician and they're not going to know what it is or what it does. They're not trained to,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it's confusing for the general population. I understand that. It's frustrating and you don't know what to take and you don't know the difference between these things.
Exactly.
Right.
People are so busy, like, just trying to get by day to day. Like, they're not thinking. So it's, I
It's
mean,
confusing.
even going to like, health forward food stores. I won't mention any names, but looking at things on the shelves, we're just like, this is
Well,
where
the
it.
labels, that's what got us started. I didn't know ingredients until I started looking them up, and yet they advertise products as healthy, organic, this and that, and that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, non-GMO, gluten-free, but then there's like something that you can't even pronounce on there, and you're like, what is that? Oh, it's a filler. Like, why? Why are there fillers? And it's scary. It really is. And most people don't even pay attention. They're just like, oh yeah, I like that. Pull it off the shelf, put it in the cart. So
Yeah.
it's hard to get through to people, man. It's just. I guess it is what it is. We try to do the best we can in helping provide knowledge, and hopefully people catch on. Honestly, that's what we can do.
Well, like
Yeah, no,
your products, that's exactly what you're doing. So if you had to recommend like your top products, do you have a few that you would recommend? Like what are your staples?
yeah. Once again, as I said, I only make what I take. So if you've never used the Australian macadamia nut oil, it's a great thing to try on your eggs. If you like eggs, if you have omelets, if you eat meat, vegetables, fantastic. The second thing, probably, and I've sold more macadamia nut oil than any other product that we have. It's been our biggest seller year over year. But right now, in the last 4 months, I produced this salad dressing. It's called Origin. And the salad dressing is made from 100% extra virgin olive oil. It's a keto salad dressing. There's no sugar at all. There's no carbs at all. The taste is fantastic, but it's the only salad dressing that you're going to get that you can put on the shelf after opening. No refrigeration is needed.
Wow.
And this blows people's mind. They say, well, no, when you have salad dressing, you have to put it back in the fridge. Well, true, because it has canola oil in it or soybean oil in it, which do have to be refrigerated or it'll go bad. This is 100% extra virgin olive oil, which you wouldn't put olive oil in the fridge. You would put it in a shelf or in the pantry. And that's the only oil in there. There's nothing else perishable at all in it. It's just different types of spices. So that product has been ridiculously popular, especially through the holiday season. And then in January, so we just finished January yesterday, we sold more in January than we did during the holiday season. So it's really caught fire. Origin salad dressing. It's a keto dressing. It tastes more like a Greek dressing if you like Greek dressing, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Awesome.
That's great.
I actually suggested my uncle. He's having like blood sugar spikes in the morning, and he can't figure out why. So I saw those chews, those
Yeah.
creatine chews. So I suggested he get some of those and see if that brings down his morning spikes.
Yeah.
That should help a little bit. The creatine chews have been proven to help maintain and stabilize blood sugar levels. So has the apple cider vinegar gummies too.
Okay.
Both of these products are sugar free, and they're both really designed around blood glucose management. The situation he's talking about is something called the Samoji effect. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as the dawn effect. And what happens is the liver does hold sugar, and it can hold it for up to 15 days. So if you're ever trying to get into ketosis and stop burning sugar and you want to start burning fat, it does take some time. But when he eats carbs and sugars, they're being stored in the liver and they get released during sleep. So in the morning, he's recording a high blood sugar reading. It's pretty common.
Okay.
So the way around that, of course, is to go a good 10, 15 days and try not to have many high glycemic carbs and then supplement with things like the apple cider vinegar gummies and the creatine chews. And you'll notice that the blood sugar fluctuations in the morning will be gone.
Okay. Awesome.
That's great.
All right. Well, this has been
Yeah.
very educational and fantastic, man. Really appreciate
Yes. Thank
your
you
time.
so much.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure, my pleasure. This was a lot of fun, and I appreciate the invite.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes, and we'll get back to you once we try your products.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Please do. Please do. Thanks for having me on, and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you. You too.
Thank you.
Hopefully you don't
Okay.
get snow.
Good luck.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye now.